It starts with one thing. The Level Cap podcast. It doesn't even matter otherwise. I don't know.
Wow. That you almost had it there. I think.
Yeah,
like, I could almost hear the backbeat behind you.
Right? I was so close, but alas, I will never be as good. You know, I'm not that great of a singer, and I'm not edgy enough. I'm not Edge Marco right now. I'm like regular Marco, happy-go-lucky Marco.
I think if you had the karaoke machine and the music in the background, everyone would have picked up on what you were putting down.
Yeah, I mean, like, is it like the MIDI, like the background that doesn't like that sounds close enough, but it's like off tune and kind of like chiptune-y?
Yeah, it's kind of like the MIDI version of Linkin Park.
Yeah. Oh, it's called Link in Park, and it's just a Link from The Legend of Zelda. And
so, unfortunately, that band already also exists.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a parody band. I'm pretty sure.
No. Is it a parody band of Linkin Park, wherein they make all the songs about Zelda?
Do Zelda tunes. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. At least I know the parody exists. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but I know that it exists because I've seen it somewhere before.
Okay. Great. Now I'm gonna Google Linkin Park.
Yep. Just add the space.
Oh my gosh! Welcome everyone to the Level Cap podcast. This is a wonderful, wonderful podcast where Brad and I go on a mystical journey.
Maybe true music trivia.
Yeah, me.
2 music truths, 1 music lie.
Oh no, stop spoiling the segments. Okay, so I think Linkin Park is now like a music cryptid, right? Like, is it real? Is it not real? I have a picture of Linkin Park. I don't know, man. That's pretty blurry.
See, I never thought of it that way.
Right. Think about it this way.
I don't think anybody ever thought of it that way.
I
think it's just you, Marco.
I'm a creative man with creative ideas.
Yeah, you certainly are.
Yeah, kind of like that one project I had in college where I was like, I'll make a dating sim where you date dating sims. And then
yeah, it's like dateception.
Dateception. Yeah, you date dates, I guess. So
anyway, that sounds somehow criminal.
Smooth? Criminal?
No, just criminal.
All right, it's like, bad.
It's probably something illegal in there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to jail now. So welcome to the Level Cap podcast. I hope all of you are excited for our wonderful docket tonight. We're gonna be talking about some Level 99 games things. We're gonna be talking about some questions, and we're probably gonna play a few games here and there. But first, I'd like to move on to our first segment, and usually one that I really love doing because it takes some preparation, and I love hearing Brad's insights. Welcome to the Game Club, where Brad and I play a game and talk about it. For this week...
for this week, Marco, you didn't have a lot of time to play this game, did you?
Nope.
Just kind of sprung it on you midweek. Did you get a chance to get through a few levels?
Yeah, I did. So wait. Our Game Club game for this week is A Hat in Time, which is a 3D platform collectathon, basically. It's Banjo-Kazooie, like everything
I would say it's a little more than Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, this is definitely a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, yeah.
No mistake.
Like, it feels more like Mario 64, right? Like,
it does feel a lot like Mario 64. In that, like, the acrobatics are a little more detailed than Banjo-Kazooie.
Heck yeah, like the double jump into the dive. I was like, that's totally but
the puzzles aren't quite as detailed as Banjo-Kazooie. So
yeah,
it's really, I guess, it's more of an action game. The way I'd pitch this is, like, what if we took Banjo-Kazooie and made Kirby the main character? And that's because this is a game where you go around and you collect things, but your collectibles really have a purpose. They make you new hats, and the hats give you new powers.
Yep.
And so you're constantly expanding your collection of hats and swapping out hats to use powers that you need to solve the different situations you find yourself in. If this feels a lot like a Kirby game, then you wouldn't be too far off the mark.
Yeah, I kind of like found that system to be very interesting because it felt like I was playing like a 3D platformer that was also slightly an RPG. Because like it kind of takes after, like, the hats kind of feel like badges in Super Mario, Paper Mario, and all that stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
They basically cater to your playstyle. Like, some of them aren't really mandatory to progress through the entire story. They just make certain things easier, like give you an extra jump or something like that. Right?
Very few are really mandatory. They're just fun ways to interact with the world.
Yeah, and
like
exactly.
One that gives you a scooter. There's one that lets you like throw potions at people and blow them up. Stuff like that. It's
a very interesting game. But more than the mechanics, I actually want to talk about the game's presentation, which I find to be absolutely great.
Let's talk about the technical part of the presentation first, because this is not a hi-fi game. This looks like an N64 game. Like, it really does. The characters are blocky. The worlds are like big blocky polygons with low-res textures, and sometimes no textures at all. Everything is very like if you were looking at this and somebody walked over your shoulder, they'd say, "Why are you playing that old 64 game?" It really looks like that, but it feels more modern.
Yeah, it does. I think it has a lot to do with the UI. Like the non 3D model UI, right? Like,
yeah, the heads-up display.
Yeah. The HUDs and the menus, they all feel very modern in that sense, because they're not like, because they're cute pop art, right? It's cute. Yeah. The art is nice and high fidelity.
The presentation is great. The game, what they did is, this game didn't spend a lot of time on its 3D modeling. They spent a lot of time on its personality.
Oh, and heck yes.
Just like Banjo-Kazooie. That's why we compare this more to Banjo-Kazooie than Mario 64, is because every person you meet, every enemy, every menu is just packed with personality. And there's a ton of interesting characters with weird personal tics. And your character is this very whimsical person who lives in a spaceship, who has an entire swimming pool of plushies. Yeah. She swims around in. She has like all these crazy gadgets in her laboratory, and you kind of get the idea of the personality of this character. And the people you meet are great. My favorite's the Ghost World, with the ghost contract guy. I don't know if you've gotten there yet.
I don't think so. Wait, is the Ghost World the haunted house, or is that different?
Yeah. It's it's a series of haunted houses.
I see.
You get to the world, and the first thing you do is you meet this ghost, and he makes you sign a contract for your soul, and then you have to do his bidding.
Is this Persona? That's
no. Yeah, it's actually, they don't make that reference, surprisingly.
Oh, that's weird. I imagine I'm pretty sure there's a JoJo reference somewhere in the game.
It's really not that big on references in this game. Like, it's really its own content. And they play it all straight. They do. Like, everything is pretty original, but it's stuff that you know to expect, right? So when it hits you, you're like, oh yeah, but it's not like, oh, this is that. It's like, oh, this is new, but I get it immediately.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think they're not just copying memes, but they're using a lot of tropes, and very well.
It's tropes over memes, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, they're really, I wouldn't say there are any memes in this game. This is not that kind of game, but it is a game where they play to the series tropes. Like, you meet the mafia guys, and they're all, kind of these sort of slow-witted, dull guys that
who speak in thick Russian accents.
Yeah, speaking these thick Russian accents, and they all talk about, like now mafia owns you and stuff like that. And it's it's very I guess I don't even know how to say it. It's just it's what you'd expect. It's immediately, you immediately understand it, but it's not like they are using the old they're not reusing the old jokes and the old memes. They're just playing to the tropes and the stereotypes.
Yeah, like, the mafias are some of my favorite ones, because it's like half of their dialogue is them being mafia, and the other half is like, mafia watched new soap opera last night. Yeah, mafia like it too. And I'm like, okay.
It's like all their names are mafia.
Yeah, all of their names are mafia, right? Like, they basically refer to each other as mafia, and they refer to themselves as individuals as mafia. It's like hilariously awesome. My favorite thing that ever happened to me was in the first level, actually. When you get your first time core, the time fuel, what do you call it? Like, the ship fuel. When you get your first thing, the hourglass, there's a mafia that's next to the mafia holding the hourglass, and you can talk to that mafia. So I was like, all right, let's talk to him. And then instead of talking to him, your character and the mafia spend the next 30 seconds doing patty cake and just doing this elaborate patty cake handshake thing. And at the very end of it, the mafia punches you, and then you take damage. Like, why?
Wow. Oh, I just missed that. There's so many little things like that are just great in this game.
Oh, it's so good. Like, there's the second level too, right? Like, there's a thing wherein they play on that like old sci-fi trope. It's like they came from space, and then like you act like an alien by rolling in oil, and then you scare the mafia. It's such a fun game. Like, some of the crazy stuff you can do here. I've watched speedruns of A Hat in Time, actually. And, like, the mechanics are great. The controls feel amazing. It's so good. It's such a good
cool game. It really is magical. I think that's what I would take away from this, is that this is a game that is really all the best things of the collectathon genre. I'd like to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the game.
Sure, go.
While we're on it, because they have some really cool mechanics. So, in this game, the way you get hats is you collect yarn, and once you get enough yarn, you can make hats. And in a normal game like this, probably classically, what you'd have to do is, if a hat had 4 pieces of yarn, you'd have to collect all 4 of those pieces of yarn and build your hat. And if you couldn't find one, you'd be in trouble. The way this game works is that each piece of yarn comes with a recipe attached. And if you already have the recipe, good on you. If you don't have the recipe, then it adds the recipe to your supply. But either way, you get the yarn. So as you go through the game, as long as you have at least 1 piece of yarn for this hat, you can build the hat, even if you find other pieces of yarn that aren't related to this hat. You know, I could take yarns I get in Worlds 3 or 4 or 5, and you go back and make a hat from World 2 as long as I got 1 of the pieces of that hat from World 2.
Yeah.
And so the game really lets you go at your own pace and doesn't make the exploration onerous. You can collect yarn as you go, and if you think a hat's cool, you can build it, or if you think a hat's not cool, you can skip it and use that yarn for hats you find in later worlds. I think the game really encourages you to go at your own pace and take the powers you want.
It's just kind of weird to me, because how do I explain it? It's like, for a game that's like very high action packed and like has a lot of nice mechanics and good game flow, it felt really relaxing to play, because basically there's no sense of urgency in anything that's happening in the game. It's like, it's like not like, it doesn't make you feel like you have to keep going all the time, but you just want to keep playing and like, they're very clean breaks between stages, and there's very nice spots to stop and take a break and then come back and play again later. So the game really, really paces well. Yeah,
it's
that's
episodic, kind of like a lot like Mario 64.
Yeah, like with the paintings and all that stuff. That's why I think it's a bit more like Mario 64 in terms of like mechanics.
Yeah, and a lot like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64 and Mario 64. These collection games, the world feels really huge. It's clear after playing that the worlds aren't as huge as they are in those classic games, because there wasn't such a big team working on this indie game. But they feel the same size. In fact, they actually feel a lot like, once you start getting to the time rifts, they start to feel a little bit like Mario Odyssey as well.
Ooh, okay.
So,
I haven't played Odyssey, so I guess this is my cheap way of being able to play it.
Yeah, it's an option for you.
Yeah.
There's definitely some inspiration there when you go down the time warps, and you have these little mini stages. You have to clear like 3 or 4 mini stages to get the crystal at the end.
Okay. Okay. I think look, if I had to give one criticism about this game, the soundtrack is forgettable to me.
It's not amazing. That's true.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, it's serviceable, right? But it's not like Bob-omb Battlefield from Mario 64, right? Like, it's not like dun 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 dun, right?
Yeah, it doesn't like really stick, but it's okay. Like I think it serves the game just fine. It's just not it's not going to be what you're listening to in 15 years.
Oh,
but that's
hey, look,
that's okay
for a game title that cost both of us like $12. It's way more worth that. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I would heartily recommend this game to you guys.
Wait,
to try out for
that's not
yourselves.
what that means.
What?
When you say like you hardly blank something.
Heartily.
Oh, okay. I
Like
thought you
with
said
my whole
hardly.
heart.
I see. Yeah.
No,
Okay. Your
heartily.
Kokoro. Your whole Kokoro.
Yes.
I see. So you give your Kokoro to this.
In mi
game.
corazon.
Oh my gosh, I love this game. Like if you just see the like, if you're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, like just Google A Hat in Time and then just look at like some of the images. You will see what kind of game it is, right? Like the main character's wearing shades and has like this smug grin on her face, and it's just.
One thing that I really love about this game is the art stills between the segments.
Heck yeah, I was about to say like at the start of every stage has a name, right? And they have like a poster, like a movie-esque poster that kind of describes what the game is. So it's like, in the one that's like she came from space, and like there's like this sci-fi-esque poster of the main character covered in tar with like her eyes lighting up as she's doing a zombie pose.
They did like a real concept art for every single stage. Now, I can give you the level 99 tie-in for this, because there's actually a level 99 tie-in for this game.
What?
Yeah. So the artist who did all those stills, who was the lead artist of the game, also did some work for Temporal Odyssey.
Oh no! So now that you've said it, I see it.
If you open up your copy of Temporal Odyssey and you look at the engineers from the feature set, those are drawn by the same artist that did the character in Hat in Time. They
are. Oh my gosh, they are.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your level 99 tie-in for Hat in Time.
Man, that's so great. This all means one thing, Brad. We
need a Hat in Time crossover as a traveler for Temporal Odyssey. I mean, it would make sense since she's a time traveler.
She is a time traveler, right? with a magic spaceship. I mean, it would definitely work.
Yeah, well, let's talk to Chris about it.
Her tower is the ship, of course, and then her first soldier minion thing is the Roomba in her spaceship, of course.
That's right. I forgot she actually has a Roomba in her spaceship.
Did you know you can whack it to get stuff? It's the best.
I knew that you could like interfere with it, and it would be grumpy at you. But I forgot that I didn't know that you could actually hit it for stuff.
Yeah, I think it drops like, I don't know what the name of the collectible is. The minor collectible.
The diamonds.
Yeah, the diamonds.
I don't remember what they are called either.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. The thingy, like the coins in Mario. That. Yeah. It's a great game. I highly recommend it as well. That's our Game Club game for this week, A Hat in Time. If you guys enjoyed our discussion about it, please tell us in the comment section down below. If you have any of your own comments, questions, or suggestions, if you want to give us a game for Game Club, please tell us in the comment section down below. Make it easily accessible. It doesn't have to...
something on Steam is good. Marco doesn't have a Switch, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I am not a rich man, which may change. Well, your opinion of that may change when we get to the last segment. But aside from that, let's move on to the next segment, also known as Brad's segment, also known as The Pipeline, where Brad discusses a few upcoming things about level 99 games and all of the lore in the world that we have. Brad, what are we going to talk about this week? Are we going to talk about some development or lore?
Well, you were asking me about lore questions earlier, specifically about the elven characters in the world of Indians. Mm-hmm. And so I thought maybe I'd talk about some Indians lore and tell you about elven, since elves and Indians are a little bit different than they are in other fantasy realms.
Are any of the races in Indians the same as any of the other races in like regular fantasy places? I
try to keep them pretty different.
Yeah, I think the only one that's quote unquote normal are humans, but like that's the point.
Well, even humans aren't really normal.
Yeah, they have like wild magic
to us on the outside. They have wild magic. They have ghosts. They are there are other things about humans that are a little different than other races in the world.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So elves, Brad, tell me about elves.
Like humans are actually the divinity race in Indians. They're the ones that have the closest connection to spirituality and stuff, and to the gods, rather than being the neutral template race.
Because they're the only ones with souls, right?
They're the only ones with ghosts, which is a little different than souls. But other races, their spirits are closer tied to the land, So we would say, like, if we were talking like in Indians terms, we'd say that humans are like people of the sky, and the elven are people of the earth, because they are closely connected to the land, and so there are a lot of subspecies of elven, because what they can do is they can just go to a new land, and they can sit and meditate for a few hours, and then they will take on the characteristics of that area. So if you were like a swamp elf and you go up to the north and it's too cold, you can just meditate and attune yourself, and you'll become a snow elf over the course of an afternoon.
So elves are modular.
Yeah, so they'll attune to whatever area, and when they attune, it resets their age. So they attune back to like that 20-25 age whenever they reattune themselves.
So are elves technically immortal in Indians? Is that how it works?
Yeah, they're technically immortal, but if they stay in one place too long, because you can't attune again to the same place, so if you stay in one place too long, you will age and become fatigued, or not fatigued, but feeble.
Feeble, like
Yeah.
actually old. You mean?
Yes, like actually old.
I see.
And of course, just like real races, they are vulnerable to disease and weapons and other, natural phenomenon. Like they could get crushed to death or die of starvation, etc. So all the normal things that could kill you.
I see. They're
can
lobsters.
kill an elven.
They're lobsters.
Yeah, or giant lobsters.
Yeah. Elves are just giant lobsters.
I see.
Yeah, I know. Lobsters are biologically ageless, and they only die when
I didn't
killed.
realize that.
Yeah, so that's like the worst thing. Like, biologically ageless, but tastes great with butter. Therefore, you die. Anyway, so that's interesting. So we have a few elf characters on our cast, right? We have Rukyuk, we have Seraphina, we have
Kadath.
I keep forgetting Kadath's an elf.
Yeah.
He's the prince of a certain species of elf, a race or tribe.
Like a tribe, just a tribe. There's a country called Ahimusi, which is sort of a swampland. And he's the prince of the swamp elves. Yeah,
he's the prince of the swamp elves.
Swamp elves. Yeah. There's a bunch of them in Argent, in the different departments, and they're mostly prevalent in Willat and Relicor, like the north and northeast of the continent.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. I'm really interested in learning about elf culture in Indians, right? So we know a lot about, like, Willat. I don't know a lot about Relicor. So, as from what I know...
Yeah, so Willat is actually more of the exception than the rule. Like, most of the elves in the world were tribal and, and lived close to the land. And, they take up crafts, but they were more, practical crafts, like... building and and hunting and crafting tools for survival.
So they're like bow and archer people, like
in general. Yeah, they didn't really have a need to build large cultures or amass wealth for much of history. But in the human age, like so when humans became dominant in the world, which was right around the end of the Draconic Wars, humans started to build cities. Because they had centralized religion, and so religion brought them all together and brought them into cities so they could worship. And so the Elven saw this, and they saw how much power that cities were giving the human culture. And so the Elves were like, well, we can build a city, and we're immortal, so we'll have like pretty much unlimited knowledge and wisdom to carry through the ages. So that's when they created the nation of Willat, and they started building these large cities. And because they did live so long, and because they were so much more skilled than humans with their crafts and techniques, they were able to build large cities much faster. Yeah. And that's why Willat is such a mecca of technology and modernization compared to the rest of them.
In story related terms, Willat's basically a cyberpunk world where everybody else is still in middle age fantasy, right?
Yeah. Like the other people of the world have kingdoms. I would say, Relicor or Jeffrey's kind of in a Renaissance type of era. Sanghalim is definitely a little more medieval, and Gesselheim is certainly feudal. Whereas Willat is almost, I would say, modern age, thinking maybe a 1900s modern.
Really?
Yeah. They're still not as modern as the Underlanders, who are in like a post-information age level of technology.
Post-information? They don't have
Yeah.
internet?
The Underlanders have like internet and computers and stuff.
Wait, does that mean like Indians people don't have computers and stuff? But I thought like
in Willat they have stuff like they have some computers, yeah, but not in the rest of the world.
I see. I was about to ask, like, don't the Planestalkers have like a lot of computers and stuff?
Oh, they do. But that's mainly because they got some of the tech from the Underlanders.
Oh, okay. So
different.
let me understand this. Computers do exist in the world. It's just that they are like basically super weapons, right? Like not everybody can have them.
Computers in the world are biological. They're actually a race of homunculus type creatures called Nermal. And
Nermal.
Yep.
You read like Garfield?
Not like Garfield, no. But there's actually one of these guys that appears in the Planestalker set in Pix Tactics 5. They are oozes, right? So you know, like the classic slime monsters.
Yeah.
So the way you make an ooze is you take an artifact, like a stone, and you carve certain enchantments into it, and then you drop it in a pool of water, and it'll animate whatever water is in the pool, right?
Okay.
And that's how oozes appear, is because they have these broken artifact, these broken runestones that
float
don't
inside
really understand with it. Yeah, that like so if you actually made one of these, like a real correct runestone, and you put it in water, you would create a Nermal, which is a very highly sentient computer system. And that creature would be able to communicate with you, store your information, make calculations for you, etc., etc. Like it would do all the things. But if you mess up the enchantment, or if you damage the stone, then you get these mindless oozes that just consume all the liquid around them. And those are the dangerous things that you find in the old ruins, because in the pre-Draconic Empire, they had a lot of this technology because the Underlanders were on the surface, and they were sharing this technology and creating these, computer creatures for all of the people of Indians.
I see. So India is a very interesting world wherein like your ultra scientific, futuristic tech race are Australians, right? Like that's
kind of, yeah. I guess that would be. I didn't really thought about their accents much, but
are they Australian? They have to be now. Like you call them Underlanders. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just ask Seki to voice at least one of them, right?
Sure. We'll see if Cameron wants to voice one. Yeah.
Glorious. All right. Okay. So one more thing about elves, right? Like,
yeah.
What's elf culture like? Like, how do I explain this? Like, if elves used to be like about hunting and all that stuff, what's elf culture in Willat like now? Like, is it like everybody is just science all the time? Science this. You're a STEM major or get out of my house. And if you try to be in the arts, you are no son of mine. Like, are they Asian? Is that it?
Maybe a little bit of that. Yeah. Magic is really important, and education is really important. And if you don't do well in school and you can't use magic, like Rukyuk, then you don't have a very good place in this society.
Oh boy, Rukyuk.
Like you can become basically a sanitation worker in Willat with, and Rukyuk was like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to, become a grenadier, a soldier, like a peacekeeper in the city. And, he ultimately didn't get that job. He instead, ended up on his own adventure, which is documented elsewhere. But, it's pretty tough if you're not good at magic in Willat, and if you're not good at science.
Oh, that's hard. Okay, so it's are they a technocracy?
They kind of. I mean, they're not actually ruled by technology. It's the magocracy, which is the magisters run it, and those are the 12 most skilled mages in the nation.
Seraphina's one of them, right?
Yes, Seraphine is one of them. Boris Vilnar is another one. There are a bunch more. Obviously, there are 10 more. And they run the country completely as a council.
Okay, and I assume since they basically live forever, they just keep adding more members to it, right? But you have to basically be some sort of like Einstein level of repute to even be considered or something.
You've got to be pretty smart to get in there, but I think it's more about your achievements. Like if you are working on something that the government wants to own, then they induct you, right? So, for example, they wanted so Aaron Ross, who created Carol and August, and was a big homunculus researcher. They wanted him to join the council and bring all of his research on homunculus with him, and he refused to do that. And when he did,
they killed him.
That's when they exiled him from the nation, and then eventually, when they found he was still doing research, then they killed him and destroyed all of his work.
Nice. Well, except Carolyn,
Carolyn escaped. They wanted to destroy all his work.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. I have one last question before we end this segment. Mm-hmm. I know that every single member of organization, Division 13, is actually a project of one of the Magisters, right? So every single Magister contributes one of the members. Serafina contributed Clinhide, because apparently she makes homunculi. What's Serafina's field of research again?
Serafina's research?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'd have to open my my world book and look at all of this stuff. But I believe it's actually in like stealth technologies.
Okay, so that's why she made a cyborg ninja, right? Like.
Yeah, and how she uses her holoprojector herself.
Yeah, exactly. So here's my big question. What's Boris Vilnar's contribution to the division?
So he is in mechanics, and he makes all kinds of crazy machines. The division member that he actually is responsible for creating is Octavia.
Oh, okay. So it's like is Octavia like a person, or is she a cyborg, or is she just like a robot?
She's like $6 Million Man, basically.
Okay.
She was wounded beyond repair, but they repaired her anyway with technology.
Oh wait, and this is why Octavia's a walking RoboCop reference, right? Like she always gave me that vibe.
Sure, if you want to think about it that way.
She always gave me that vibe of like being an emotionless RoboCop. That's what she feels like to me. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
I always thought like his contribution was just like have an army of cadenzas.
I mean, I was thinking more like the Major from Ghost in the Shell, but yeah, RoboCop's also a good reference.
Oh, Major and Ghost in the Shell. That works too. Absolutely. All right, so that does it for Brad's segment. I love doing these lore dives. You know, they're really, really fun. Next up, I need to learn more about Vom Society, okay? Vom Society.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Sure.
Please let there be like some sort of like Voms and werewolves, and then like the Vom wants to kiss a girl, but the werewolf also wants to kiss the girl, or something like that.
No, this is getting too much into the references and memes territory.
Oh no, okay, let's stop. If you guys want us to talk about any specific topics or ask Brad about a specific aspect of development or one of our games, please tell us in the comment section down below, and we'll get there. Now, on to my segment, also known as the 99 Questions, where we have your questions meditate at a hidden place for a few hours, and then they transform magically into answers, breathing new life into them. Brad, are you ready to answer these questions? Hot baked, freshly cooked.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Brad, I think this is a very interesting question. Who is the Batman of Indians? So I guess, like, there's two ways to go about this, right? Who in Indians, like, dresses up in tights and goes around proclaiming they are a superhero? That's one. And number two, I guess, who is like the everyman in Indians who still somehow does well? Like a person without powers who goes out and still fights the good fight.
Well, I would say that we don't have anybody that's like specifically that in Indians. Definitely the closest when you ask the question, the person that immediately comes to my mind is Rukyuk, because he's a character that cannot use any magic, but still he uses his wits and his technology and his skills to go around and do good for its own sake, at least by the time that he founds the Champions of Indians, which goes on a little later in
lore canon.
Yeah, a little bit later in lore. So around the time that Imperial is happening, Champions of Indians are founded, and Rukik is going around and killing important monsters or protecting, the weak and defenseless in the world. But he does it with the help of his, basically his mercenary order, not with his own vast resources and technology like Batman. He's not a one-man show, I guess, but he is that character that uses their resources for justice.
I see. So he's Batman Incorporated.
I guess he's more like the head of the Justice League more than Batman. Yeah, or maybe Batman Incorporated. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's an actual series of like Batman.
That's
comics,
right. I'd forgotten about them. Yeah, there's like 8 different Batmans.
Yeah, and no, like Batman Incorporated was the one where Batman outsources being Batman.
Yeah, to like a bunch of other people. Like in every different territory of the world, there's a different Batman.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's basically like that. Yeah.
Sure, if you want to simplify it. Yeah.
Right. Great. I think the question really boils down to like who's the game's badass normal, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that badass normal would be the one to fill that role.
Really, in my mind, like there are 2 people came into my mind. One of them was Rook. The other one was Joel. Joel seems a lot like
Joel. Yeah, Joel's also, but maybe he is more. He's definitely that like I work alone kind of person.
And like he has a utility belt of a lot of gadgets or weapons.
But he is, but he's certainly in it for himself and not for like justice.
Oh, that's
he's not
true.
He's not a like. Let me help everybody type of character. He's a like, let me get the job done type of character.
Let me get the job done so I can get more money to buy more weapons.
Well, so I can go home.
Oh, much to the chagrin of my wife.
Yeah, maybe buy more weapons.
Yeah, maybe buy more weapons.
Caesar might be a good type for that because Caesar is very much the grimdark Batman type character.
Yeah, but he's not a normal person, right?
he's not, but he's. I mean, if you want to take like the modern Batman, where he like. Where he beats the entire, like Arkham City in one night, like clears all of Arkham City in one night. That's more of the Caesar type of character. Yeah. Somebody who just, who doesn't stop, who's completely consumed by their duty and their role, and is supernaturally able to just grit through whatever comes their way. He's definitely that kind of person.
That kind of person. Okay, yeah. Great. Thank you. Next question.
Sure.
Where did Brad get the name Indians from when creating the original world? What is the etymology of the name?
Well, it's sort of a, I would say, juxtaposition of endless and Indies together. The island chain.
See.
So I put those 2 together and I got Indians. And,
it's stuck, I guess.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah. The Underlanders call it something else.
Does everybody call it something else? Like
just the people on the surface versus the Underlanders call it something different.
Oh, I see. So like Kaons don't call it something else, or Virians.
Well, they would just call it Prime.
Oh, the Prime world, right. The
because
Prime
world. Like when they look at another plane, they see. It's just like when you look over here, you would say, "Oh, it's America." And I'm like, no, it's New Mexico, and there's like 49 others. But, you kind of see a bigger picture when you're looking at it from the outside.
I see. I think I get what you mean. Because when you say, like, when you're talking to me, you go, like, Philippines, and I'm like, yeah, but there's a specific city/street that I'm on, right? Like,
yeah.
You don't just say, okay, I see where you're coming from. I see your game, Mr. Talton. Last question. Any chance of getting custom artwork for the soundtrack cover? All the cool games do it. I think this is in relation to the BCO OST. I guess this means will we even have like a digital copy for download for the BCO OST or something?
Yeah, we probably need to figure out how to get that on Steam as well.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Some of these tracks are bumping. They're a bop. That's what the kids these days call it, Brad. Bop.
Uh-huh.
If a song is good, it's a bop.
It's a bop, eh?
Yeah, it's a bop. Like Kids Bop, I guess.
That's, we'll speak no more of Kids Bop.
Okay. So that pretty much does it for our 99 questions segment. If you guys have more questions for me or for Brad about the world, about our stuff, about game design, whatever, please guys in the comment section down below and we will answer those. Remember, it's in either Google Sheets or the comment section. Either way, we'll get your answers to you. Finally, let's move on to the last segment, also known as Otherwise, where Brad and I play a rotating game suggested by a listener or made up by us if none of you suggested one. Brad,
I found I found the Underlanders call it Inverness instead of Indians. Yeah.
Okay, is that okay? Look, when you came up with Inverness, is that an amalgam of two words?
It's inverse Indians. But don't tell anybody.
Okay.
It loses some of the magic when you do that.
I see. Okay. Great. Cool. All right. So, Inverness. Okay, it's like Indians, but inverse. Okay. Okay. Is this how you make all of your fantasy names? Is Carolyn just two words?
No.
Care and then Rollin. Ross. Okay, never mind. Let's move on to the last segment again. Otherwise, where Brad and I play a game. Brad, a listener suggested a cool game. Wherein they told us to do two truths, one lie, or is it two lies, one truth?
It's two truths and one lie. Because you're trying to figure out which one's the lie. If you have to figure out which one's the truth, that's too hard because you could just do anything, right?
Yeah,
that's at least two of them have to be grounded in reality.
Okay, that's true. Okay, so here's the deal, right? They told us to do this in character, but the problem with that is, it's like if we're basically role playing as characters in Indians, I don't think anybody would really enjoy it because like that's some deep lore stuff, and it's gonna be hard. So, the characters we're playing as is ourselves because we're just characters. We're just caricatures of our real selves. You know, Brad doesn't always wear a hat. Marco doesn't always wear jackets. It's a thing. So, Brad, are you ready to play this game? Okay, so everybody listening and everybody watching, you can also play along in the comment section down below. You know, once we say our things, try to guess which one's the lie. All right. Brad, you go first.
Okay, so here's three facts. Two of them are true. One of them is a lie.
Well, therefore, it's not a fact. You lied.
Yeah.
You said three facts. That's wrong.
Okay, here's three things.
Okay. All right.
Two of them are true. One of them is a lie. You can guess which one is the lie. All right. So, Act 1. I am a ranked chess champion. Number 2, I write short novels as a hobby.
Okay.
And 3, I seriously considered a career as a manga artist.
Okay. So, two truths, one lie. Everybody listening, type out your answers in the comment section down below and try to guess.
Oh, we're going to play this over multiple weeks?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? If people like it enough, vote for it, right? Okay. Here's the thing. I know that you probably write short stories or novels because you know a lot about writing and you wrote your own world. So that's probably true. So it's between chess and manga artist. I know you have a deviant art and tried drawing things before. So maybe manga artist would make sense if you were like 13 and were considering it back then. So I'm going to say that the lie is that you're a ranked chess champion.
All right, you got me. Yeah.
Yes, I know, Brad.
Although I was considering manga as late as like 19. Because I went to Japan for a year and I studied and I spent a lot of time drawing back then.
Oh, man.
I thought that I might make a living out of that, but my drawing never really got good enough to make it pan out.
Oh man, you should have just made an isekai manga. No matter how bad it is, it's gonna sell.
Maybe.
Okay, so did you guys get it right in the comment section down below? Tell me. I'm very interested to know whether or not you got it right. So, Brad, it's my turn. And this is going to be a hard one for everyone because I purposely decided to troll all of you.
Mysterious Marco.
Yes. Okay, here are 3 statements, 2 of which are true, 1 of which is a lie. Okay?
All right.
Statement number 1. I've been bitten by a cat. A domestic cat. Statement number 2, I've been bitten by a lion. And statement number 3, I've been bitten by a tiger.
A lion, a tiger, and a domestic cat. There's a lot of cat bites. Well, let's see. That is tough.
So, Brad, show your thinking. Like, imagine this is like a math test. Show your thinking.
Okay. All right. So I'm thinking. Do you own a cat, Marco? Has your family ever owned a cat?
Used to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not unlikely to be bitten by a cat, but let's see. Are tigers at all common in the Philippines?
No, I don't think they're even a naturally occurring species. Neither are lions.
And lions neither, right? So I would imagine that you must have gone to a petting zoo or something and gotten bit by both a lion and a tiger on the same day as a kid. like just a little one, obviously, or else you'd be missing fingers. So I'm going to guess that being bit by the domestic cat is actually a lie.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So close, Brad. But sadly, no. So here's the trivia, right? I actually own every single one of these animals. Rather, my dad owns at least every single one of these animals.
Oh, that's right. Your dad owns a petting zoo.
My dad owns a zoo. So
yes.
All right.
Well, not a petting zoo, but a zoo. Yeah.
Yeah, a zoo. Okay, so I have been bitten by a domestic cat. I had a domestic cat named Liger. He bit me multiple times. What a jerk. But I loved him. He was fine.
Did you bite back?
No, I didn't bite the cat back.
Show him who's boss.
No, I don't think that's how you assert dominance to a cat. I don't think you just
to a cat it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's that. I've been bitten by a domestic cat. I have also been bitten by a tiger. Like a cub, but not like a small one. Like as big as like probably a small Labrador or something. Because my cousins were like, hey, let's take pictures with the tiger at the zoo. And I'm like, sure, why not? And then they were all really scared of it. But like, I've known this tiger since it was like a baby. So I was like, hey, tiger, hey, Ariana, come here. And then I was like petting her and
your
stuff.
tiger's named Oriana?
No. Ariana. Sorry, my dad
Ariana.
My dad names all the tigers after popular singers. So like, you have Rihanna, Ariana, and then, Katy, because Katy Perry and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's cute.
So I was like petting the tiger, right? And they were like, "Oh, it's so tame." And then the tiger bit my arm. And
man.
My entire arm went into the mouth. Oh my lord. It was great. It's a good thing I was wearing a jacket, protected me from the bite. And I have never been bitten by a lion, because lions tend to be more chill than tigers, apparently.
Really?
So there you go.
Wow.
I mean, male lions just sleep for 20 hours a day, so
sounds like the life.
Sounds like the life, indeed. So that's it. Did you guys guess that right? I mean, like, I'd be really shocked if you guys guessed that right. And if you did guess it right, congratulations, you've won a special Marco star, redeemable for a free thumbs up and a high, I guess. Hi, thumbs up.
Well, yeah. So I guess that pretty much concludes our Level Cap podcast. But before we go. A little bit of news for you guys. Level 99 Games is at Gen Con this week.
Woot woot.
And we'll be at our booth 2149. Come by. This is your first opportunity to get Temporal Odyssey, Professor Treasure, and the last 2 boxes of that game, Exceed, 7th Cross. Those will all be available in our booth, brand new for Gen Con. And also, BattleCon Online will be launching August 10th, the week after we get back from Gen Con. Go ahead and go to the Steam page, which Marco is linked below, and wishlist it and show your support. You can write guides, you can join the community discussions on the Steam page already. Everything is there and ready to go. It's going to be a big hit. I'm real excited to show you guys what we've been working on for the past 2.5 years. So
man.
This is going to be good.
I'm so excited too. And don't forget that the community is already at it. We already have 5 guides up. Some character guides, some UI guides, some general basics, and it's all great. I love it when people make their own guides and make their own content. So if you guys make any new content, just message me, put it in the comment section down below, and you're like, I made this guide for the Steam thing. Don't worry, I will boost that for you, my friend, all over the social medias. So don't worry about it. All right, Brad, I'd love to keep going, but let's end this episode because we have things to do.
All right, yep. So, have a great night, everyone, and thank you so much for listening to the Level Cap Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Telton, and with me, my splendiferous Tiger Bit co-host,
Marco the Growl de Santos.
And we want to wish you a great day and happy gaming.
Happy gaming!